Welcome, everyone, to The Great Game. Now, I want you to forget everything you think you know about Boardwalk and Park Place, because today, we are fighting for the Seven Kingdoms. Gold dragons are what matter, and in the end, only one person can sit on that Iron Throne. So, let the game begin. So here's our battle plan. First, we'll cover the ultimate goal. Then, we'll get our houses ready for war, figure out the flow of battle, and start building our empire across Westeros. After that, we'll navigate the crazy fortunes of war, and finally, we'll talk about how you claim that Iron Throne for yourself. Okay, let's be perfectly clear about our objective here. This isn't just about getting rich. It's about total and absolute domination. Your one and only goal is to be the last one standing, to financially crush every single rival house until you alone rule the entire board. And this is where things get brutal. See, bankruptcy in this game means you are completely eliminated. If you can't pay your debts, you have to surrender everything, your lands, your keeps, all your gold, and just like that, your quest for the throne is over. The stakes could not be any higher. You know, every great campaign really begins with preparation. So before anyone even thinks about rolling the dice, you've got to rally your resources and choose the banner that you're going to carry into battle. First things first, you've got to choose your sigil. So who are you going to be? Are you the stoic direwolf of House Stark? Or maybe the mythical dragon egg of the Targaryens? It's up to you. Once you've picked your piece, the Iron Bank funds your campaign with a starting war chest of gold dragons. You're going to want to spend it wisely. And who's in charge of all this wealth? Well, that would be the banker. This player runs the most powerful institution in the entire game, the Iron Bank. They manage all the assets, they pay out salaries when you pass go, and they handle all the property auctions. And remember two things. The Iron Bank always gets its due, and it never, ever runs out of money. All right, now let's get into the nitty-gritty. Your entire conquest of Westeros, it all happens one turn at a time. And honestly, understanding the simple sequence is the key to mastering the whole game. It's got this simple, kind of elegant rhythm to it. You roll the dice, move your token, and then you see where you landed. From there, you take action. Maybe you buy a new holding, like Craster's Keep, or you pay rent to a rival, or maybe you draw a card that completely changes your fate. Once you're done, you just pass the dice, and the war moves on to the next player. Okay, this is where the real strategy kicks in. See, it's not enough to just march across the land. You have to claim it, build on it, and then squeeze every last gold dragon out of anyone who dares to trespass on your territory. Now, this is a huge rule to remember. No land stays unclaimed for long. When you land on an open property, you get the first chance to buy it. But if you say no, a bidding war starts right then and there. This is a massive part of the strategy. You can either try to snag a bargain, or, and this is just as important, you can force a rival to overpay for something you didn't even want. Owning one property is fine, but real power, true power, comes from having a monopoly. You can't even start building your villages or your keeps until you own every single property of the same color. And this forces you to trade, to bargain, to make alliances, and, maybe break them when it suits you, all to consolidate your power over a region. And check this out. This is how you really build up your power. We're not building little greenhouses here. No way. You're going to establish villages, and once you have enough of those, you can consolidate them into a massive, powerful keep. Each one of those upgrades dramatically increases the rent you can demand from your enemies. So let me put this into perspective for you. Take a powerful spot like Winterfell. If you just own the land itself, you might collect a small tax. It's okay. But building a keep on that land, that's not a tax, my friend. That is a devastating blow to an enemy's treasury. It's how you push your rivals one step closer to bankruptcy. Of course, no war is won by strategy alone, right? You also have to deal with the whims of fate, the conspiracies happening in the capital, and all the dangers that are lurking just around the corner. So, instead of the usual community chest and chance, you're going to be drawing from the Iron Throne and Valar Morghulis decks. And believe me, these are way more exciting. So the question is, will you get a royal decree that puts gold in your pocket? Or will you find out that, well, all men must die, or at least pay a pretty hefty fine? As you're moving around the board, you're going to hit some key spots. Pass and go still gets you paid, which is great. And see those great houses? Those replace the railroads. Getting all four is a huge power move. It guarantees a steady flow of cash.
Landing on go to jail is, well, just as bad as it sounds. And free parking? That's just a rare, quiet moment of peace in a very dangerous world.
So, after all the battles, all the bankruptcies, and all the betrayals, how does someone actually win the Game of Thrones?
The classic way to win is just a brutal war of attrition. The game just keeps going until all but one player has been completely financially ruined. That last survivor, standing there amidst the economic wreckage of their rivals, they are declared the winner, and they claim the Iron Throne.
But what if you don't have time for a war that could span generations? What if you want a quicker, more savage conflict? Well, for that, there are the speed play rules. This table breaks down exactly how the game shifts into high gear. So in the short game, everyone starts with 3 properties right off the bat. This totally jumpstarts the empire building phase. You also only need 3 villages to build a keep, which accelerates your path to collecting that high rent. And if you land in jail, you're out on your very next turn. It just creates a much faster, way more aggressive game from the first roll. So there you have it. The laws of the land, the rules of war. You have all the knowledge you need to forge an empire and bankrupt your enemies. The only question that's left is, which house will you lead to victory?